It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? It's a neighborly day.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to episode 37 of Neighborhood Talk. It's about to go down right now, ladies and gentlemen. Introducing your co-host, hailing from Queens, New York, also a digital artist, co-founder of Neighborhood Tales, Trizzy the God, and your host, with the most, hailing from Detroit, Michigan. He does it all. J.D. Jones! And our guest for tonight, we love and appreciate everything he does for this space. Web3 traditional gamer as well. Influencer, content creator. I don't know where he's from, but he's so out of this world. I'm going to say he's from Mars. And I don't know his height, but he's so big, I'm going to say he's 10 feet tall, 7 inches. Jay Cluster!
What's up?
Make some noise, make some noise. Let's get some orange hearts, orange hearts, orange hearts. JD and Trizzy on your cue. Yo, it really don't get no better than that. You know what I'm talking about, man? This is your boy JD Jones, and I'm
It's
one
your
of your hosts
boy.
here at Neighborhood Talk.
It's your boy Trizzy the God. Send blessings to you.
Yeah, I receive all the blessings, my dog. Trizzy, how you feeling tonight, bro?
It's the neighborhood, man. You already know what it is.
It's the neighborhood vibe, man. I feel it, man. You know, I'm feeling like I'm back in the day, man, when I used to have no lights in the neighborhood, man. I came a long way, man. Right now in Detroit, Michigan, man, that ice storm knocked all the power out in Detroit, man. So I just want to let all the listeners know across the world, man, I'm in the dark, man, doing this show, man, with just a little bit of light, man. But it feel like the neighborhood, man, the good old days. You know what I'm talking about, man, Trizzy?
Yo, you the light. You the light, man. You
Come
the
on,
light.
bro. Yeah, I appreciate it, bro. I couldn't do it without you, Chiz. Shout out to the founders here at Neighborhood Tales, Neighborhood Talk, man. We want to welcome all of our listeners and our supporters around the world. But, you know, we're going to introduce ourselves to we need no further introduction. We are the newest, latest, and soon to be most influential Web3 platform to ever exist. And, you know, this is not only our space to display our newest and latest projects, such as Neighborhood Tales, that we're going to talk about tonight, but we share our space with the dopest guests. I'm talking about the dopest guests, man, and they bring the most value. And tonight happens to be no exception. Yo,
Yes,
Trizzy the
sir.
God, let the listeners know, let the neighbors know who we have the privilege of hosting tonight.
Yes, sir. Definitely a privilege. Definitely a pleasure. We got the boy Jay Custer in the building.
Thanks, guys. Glad to be here.
What's good, Jay?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. You're saying your power's out. That was me just the other day. Storms just brewing all over the place.
Yeah, the storms is ridiculous right now.
Yeah. It doesn't often snow where I live actually in Canada, and it snowed last night like crazy. It was a huge little snowstorm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy times, man. But Yo, man, absolutely a pleasure to have you, Jay, on the show, man. I'm excited to talk to you and let our listeners, learn more about you and your influence in this space here in Web3 and blockchain technology. Excited to have you, man. But why don't you let's get right into it, man? Why don't you let our listeners know where you're from? I think you might alluded to it, but just give them your background.
Yeah, so Jay Cluster, I've been in the Web3 space for a few years. I've been in the tech industry for several years. Um, I really got into Web3 because I was kind of sick of working for the man and not getting anywhere, you know what I mean? And just basically, exactly, right? Inflation, the more you like, you're trying to make a living wage, and every time you get a raise, it's just enough to barely keep your head above water. And I started to feel like, well, I need to find a way to make my money work for me. I need to find a way to find financial freedom. And I started to realize, I'm not gonna get that financial freedom unless I take things into my own hands. And that's why I've kind of found Web3. I found crypto at first, started, investing at the height of the bull run, which was, a little discouraging because, you're trying to follow best practices, and I'm dollar cost averaging into all these different tokens, primarily, the big two and then some other ones and a couple, shit coins. And 90% of the time you're just watching number go down.
Right.
But, you know, conviction pays off, because when you are dollar cost averaging in a bear market like we're in right now I'm starting to see, okay, so that $100, the $500 I put into Bitcoin a few months ago is like $700. Okay, so take profits, figure all that out. And 2022 was like, okay, I'm a long time gamer. I've always been playing games, but I'm one of those people who kind of feels like I spent so much of my goddamn life playing video games, and what do I have to show for it? I've got like shit social skills. I've got barely any other skills. I don't have, I didn't have a lot going for me. I had to think like, okay, am I gonna just keep playing games and wasting hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and buying skins and throwing money away, basically? Or am I gonna change the way that I think of games? Because it got to a point where I basically felt like I had to give up gaming. That's what Web2 gaming ended up making me feel like. Like, I can't keep doing this.
What made you feel like you had to give up on it?
Well, because I was investing so much time and money into gaming, but I wasn't getting anything back, right? There
Right.
was I was basically just a slave, like the same way I was feeling like with my financial freedom. I was also starting to feel the same way with like the way that I was gaming. Like I was just giving these giant companies everything and getting
Mm-hmm.
absolutely nothing back. And that's kind of why I fell into Web3 gaming. I started to think, okay, well, instead of spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on all these League of Legends skins, only to turn around and find that they're all gone. They just disappeared. Um, when I submit a support ticket and they say, "What are you talking about? What skins?" um,
Right.
I'm like, something's broken here. This whole Web2 gaming sort of concept of like, okay, yeah, we'll just uh, buy the party pass and then buy this and then buy this and buy that game and then buy this, and all these game companies are basically just
Yeah, we just
yeah,
taking. We just taking.
they're just taking and they're not giving anything back. And I was like, this is broken. So I started. I I learned a lot from my Web3 philosophies that I was learning from like crypto and like crypto investing and the financial freedom that it's giving you and digital autonomy, right? And I was like, well, Web3 gaming, that makes so much sense. Um, and that's kind of why I started getting into it,
I
started
mean,
making content.
so
I
it's a
mean
dope
that's
story.
kind of, yeah. I was saying that's kind of I mean that's kind of, you just kind of find your way out, man. Find your find your way to get to that financial freedom. That kind of like brings into the first question about like what how did you actually learn about the Web3? Like what how did you learn about it?
Yeah, I mean, how did I learn about it? I guess mainly TikTok, I think. That's how I started really sort of picking up on it. Crypto TikTok for a while, watching 3 minute videos after 3 minute videos after 3 minute videos of everything to do with like what is Bitcoin? Like let's break down the Bitcoin white paper. Let's talk about Ethereum. What's the difference between L1, 2, 3, L0? You know, what projects are innovating in the space, what projects are kind of a leech or, not really doing anything other than take or screw people over. Um, that's kind of how I fell into it. Yeah, TikTok. And then crypto, Web3 gaming was actually I started looking into it, and then I saw this ad for Blanco's Block Party, and Blanco's Block Party was like a very vanilla, safe, uh, basic, uh, sort of Web3 light type of game that I started getting into. And since I had crypto knowledge, I was thirsty for more. I was like, okay, this is great. I'm getting NFTs. That's fine. But wallet integration, all these things, there's more that you can do in Web3 for gaming. And I felt like Blankos was just scraping the surface, so then I just started to keep exploring, right?
Love that. Love that. Um, I guess my question is, you mentioned Jay, how you been playing games for a very long time. Um, can you talk to us about your journey with gaming? I mean, it could be Web 2, Web 3, like just like overall, what made you fall in love with games and how did that all come about?
Sure, yeah. So, like, I was an early PC gamer. I'm talking, what's that stupid game? Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem, like 3D, came out, and I don't know, like, I think it might have still been the 90s.
Was that the
And
first game you ever played?
it might have been,
Okay.
or it could have been Warcraft, but like the early Warcraft, not even Warcraft 1, like pre-Warcraft 1. Um, and and I just fell in love with gaming. I fell in love with computer gaming primarily. And there was so many different genres that I was interested in. Warcraft was a real-time strategy. Duke Nukem was an FPS. I started really getting into Counter-Strike and Half-Life and Unreal Tournament and Day of Defeat, Left 4 Dead. You know, uh, there's such a long list. It's almost like it's crazy to think about how many games and how many hours I've put into all these games, and I probably can't even remember all their names. But Elder Scrolls series, Oblivion, and then MMOs started happening. So spent a lot of time in World of Warcraft and some earlier MMOs. Um, Pretty much played the whole gambit up until about 2016 was when I started to kind of pull back and be like, okay, but I maybe should focus on some other parts of my life.
Right.
And then I got back into gaming in 2020 when Web3 started becoming a thing and Web3 gaming. I was like, oh, okay, this I can get back into gaming and not feel so guilty, essentially, for putting all this time and money investment into something and not getting anything back. I can be a part of a community, like an investor in a project that I have conviction in, and like I'm an investor and a gamer now. Like I can
Right.
I can think with both of those mindsets, and I think that's super important.
Jay, from 2016 to 2020, right? I mean, that was like the transitional period of like I gotta do something different, or I gotta do something in addition to gaming. Did you ever stop, like just quit? Did you ever quit gaming in like in totally from 2016 to 2020, or did you like play it in spurts? Or
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I guess like I played a little bit here and there, but yeah, it was starting to get to a point too because I was also in like a you know, long-term committed relationship. I was
Yeah.
in dad mode. I had a lot of responsibilities, and there was a period when there just wasn't enough time in the day. I was going to university because I used to be a cook, and I started to realize that that wasn't working. I needed to do a career change. So there was just so much going on. I just didn't have as much time for gaming, and I kind of, yeah, there was just too much guilt attached to it, especially when it comes to, you're raising a child, you have uh, this, um, a wife that's demanding of your time and doesn't really like the fact that you're spending all this time playing video games, right?
Right, right.
You know what I mean? So
Facts.
yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that, man.
That's crazy, man. You had to make a choice at that point, man. You had to decide, like, wait a minute, am I gonna sit here and play this game and look crazy, or am I gonna hold off for a minute? So yeah, definitely put some pressure on your decisions at that point, man.
For sure. But I think that gaming is in such a different place now, right? And
Right.
so am I. So I have a completely different perspective, thankfully, than I did when I was, in my mid 20s and things like that. And I'm so happy that I'm finally in a place in my life where I can focus on my passion. And no matter which way I like to slice it, like gaming has always been my passion. So it's time I'm in a part of my life where I'm taking that a lot more seriously, and I want to live and breathe games, but that means that it's not just about playing the games, it's about advocating for games, it's about advocating for a new generation of gaming that sort of provides more freedom to the players, and engages the players in a different way, and creates like a really strong community that people can resonate with, and it's more than just playing COD Zombies with your homies. It's
Yeah.
that, and also
Yo, Jay, man, bro, I'm literally, I'm like over here inspired, bro. Like I feel like you just like you leveled up so hard, man. That's how we were said in Detroit, man. Like you leveled up and you just like basically was like, you know, I can go from being a consumer to a creator, man. Can you talk to us maybe about that, man? Like how'd you even get into creating?
yeah. So I think that I wouldn't have been able to really seriously think about being a creator until after I had started to pursue content creation professionally, right? So when I went to college, I started going to music school, and doing music production was sweet, but I was missing the video production side of it. And so then I started going into video production and graphic design and writing. And then, I got a degree in professional communications, and that's just content creation in a nutshell. But what I had to go through first was this experience of creating content for other people, right? So I worked for a tech company, did a lot of content marketing, and was honing a lot of my skills, but it felt pretty hollow, and I was starting to feel a lot of drain, right? Like, why am I doing this? Why am I being so creative for a company that doesn't care about it? And this company was like big into the defense contracts, and I just started to feel like layers of guilt based on that, being like, so I'm helping the war machine, great, like things like that. Um, and so that made me really start to think, well, I got to do this for myself, for me. What can I do? And it came back to, well, my main passion is gaming. So,
Yeah.
um, full circle.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I wanted to ask you, on your opinion. What did you feel? What do you feel about like console games versus Web3 games? Like, is there a difference? Is there a difference of pros and cons in both, and which one do you prefer?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I got pretty big into console gaming. It's not like I was only a PC gamer. Anything from Sega, Genesis, Game Gear, PS2, PlayStation, all those fun, Xbox 360. They're great. The thing I have, the gripe I have, or the comparison I would say between console games and Web3 games is it's gaming with handcuffs and gaming without handcuffs. Right.
Mm,
Consoles are literally like the whole point of a console is uh, to strap somebody into their environment and their operating system that is so exclusive that you can't do anything other than what has to do with that console, right? You're either exactly right, and so the juxtaposition is like, do you like to once again play games and basically be subservient to Xbox, PS3, or PlayStation or Nintendo, and or do you want to take the handcuffs off and take control of gaming for yourself and actually be able to create your own digital identity around the games you play and make decisions. So that's
right.
the biggest juxtaposition in my mind.
It's more of a freedom that you have when you're playing, right? You can be more open to not just stuck in one vicinity of the gaming system. I understand that.
Yeah. And I mean, like, so you could almost make that same comparison with console versus PC gaming because uh PCs have always had like uh a larger breadth of gaming experiences you can have because they don't have to be only PlayStation games or only Xbox games or only Nintendo games. Like you have way you can develop more games that are like uh that can all be on the same operating system without having to develop like a game for Xbox and a game for PlayStation. Like say for example, those cross-platform games, like even like I don't know, like COD.
Call of Duty.
Yeah. And how long was Call of Duty only on Xbox?
Right, right. Until they decided they needed to make some more money.
Right. But you have to redevelop the game each time you put it on a different console because they're a different system. It's like it's a different operating system. So I mean, yeah, so PC's always been a more free thing. And will Web3 move into console? I think so, but I think that it's going to be hard to do that in a way where that freedom is maintained because the console creator is still always going to want a piece of that pie. So,
Right.
So what if it was like Web 2, Web 3 integration, that concept? I know that's the thing, right?
yeah, so I mean, like, okay, so here's an example. Superior is a really cool game. You can download it on Steam. Steam doesn't want nothing to do with Web3, so when you download it on Steam, it's a Web2 game. You don't have NFTs, there's no progression, things like that. But when you download Superior through Epic Games or through Gala Games, then all of a sudden you have all these Web3 integrations. So I can imagine things like that where a game can come out on a PlayStation and also come out on PC. And maybe on PlayStation there's no Web3 or very Web3 like Web3 Lite, but the PC version there's a lot more sort of Web3 opportunities and like maybe you can't there's no NFT marketplace on the PlayStation, but there is with the PC and things like
Right.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man,
Yeah.
thinking about like Web 3. I know we're talking about Web 2, like Web 3 integration. Do you have a favorite Web 3 game right now that you could talk about?
Favorite Web3 game? Sheesh, man.
I know I
There's
put you on the spot there.
well, the thing is there's so many goddamn Web3 games coming out. It's so hard to keep up. Like, I can't keep up. It's crazy. Like I just basically my philosophy right now is just pick 1 to 3, maybe 5 games tops that you like, you vetted, you know they're good, you really have conviction in their roadmap, and you see their vision. You can see the game lasting for like 5 to 10 years, and you play those games. Those are your primary games. But then there's like a new game every freaking week or something. It feels like for example, Neighborhood Tales. I haven't. I just was looking into it today, and it's like, okay, well, this is like still like a game in its infancy, I think. So we'll keep an eye on this one, and hopefully we can like get into the game and check it out once it's in a playable state and things like that. But there's so many games like that. So you have like your primary games that are like, this is what I play, and then just constantly, okay, every week I basically check out a new game because there's that many games.
You,
So what are my 5 games right now? I play Blanco's Block Party. It's it's going through some growing pains, and we'll see. But overall, it was like my first Web3 game, so I still play that. And then Big Time voted best Web3 game of the year, for good enough reasons, right? Like it's a game. There's a lot to it. There's constant development, so yeah, I think it's worth playing. Warsaken is one of the most promising looking Web3 trading card games I've found. Um, what is my other ones? What are my other ones? The Sandbox. I play the Sandbox every season, but it's basically a seasonal thing for me, just based on the way that their game works. And I used to spend quite a bit of time in Decentraland, but I haven't bothered with Decentraland in a while because yeah,
so
Decentraland.
so Jay, do you think it's oversaturated with Web3 games? And also, what stands out to you that makes you want to play a game and get I guess not addicted to it, but just make it a game that you'll spend time on.
Invest enough time for it to be like reasonable or like notable. I think that yes, it is oversaturated, but a good comparison would be like, we all probably know at least a thing or two about the music industry. Think about the music industry before anybody and their dog could buy, an audio interface and a half decent mic and a few extra things, and then all of a sudden they're producing music with Logic or Pro Tools or something, right? Like it used to
Right.
be quite
Right.
hard to produce music, and because of that, you had great big bands that were like put lots of money into, and they were like the big ones, and it was, it wasn't very saturated. Exactly. So as music started to be easier and easier to create, the music industry started to become more and more saturated. And there's plenty of amazing musicians right now who basically no one's ever going to hear.
Right.
Awesome music, very talented musicians, but the music industry is so saturated. How do you maintain relevance? How do you grow an audience and catch the attention of these millions of people who are all feeling the same pull and pressure? Where there's literally a new album coming out every day, and a new song and a new artist, and they're just trying to keep up. It's the same thing. It's going to be the same thing with gaming, and I think like indie games and Web2 has kind of started this trend because you no longer need a giant dev team to create an amazing game. You can create an award-winning game with 2 people, um, and I think Web3 is actually just expediting that or expediting that. It's making it even easier, faster, because one of the biggest problems with creating games in Web2 is having the capital, right? Well, now two people can create a half decent game, and then they can do an NFT drop or two or three, and they can fund their own game, right? And I think like you guys kind of understand that you're probably a pretty small dev team for Neighborhood Tales, um, and you see the opportunity now with Web3. Like, I can actually make a game and keep making it and grow a community around something without being basically dependent on venture capitalists who give and take away so quickly,
Right.
right? You can actually you're getting more control as a creator, but what that's going to result in is, yes, more saturation, right? So how many Unreal Engine 5 games have come out in the past, I don't even 6 months, let's say, and a lot of them they're pretty much copy pastas at this point, because you know there's a lot more automation when it comes to creating games. Uh, there's basically like easy start kits essentially you can pretty much buy, things like that. So A, it's great because it's giving these people to create a game that they've always wanted to create. B, it also, with that oversaturation, you have to really be mindful. Is this a real project, or is it just something somebody cooked up in their bedroom the past couple months and with the sole intention of rugging someone,
Right.
right?
Right.
Wait, I gotta interject for a second because what he said, he hit the nail right on the head.
Right
Uh,
on it.
right on it. So for everybody listening, right, we've been developing this for over a year, and everything that we develop is custom. We don't use any starter packs. We don't use any pre-animated assets. Every animation, every line of code, whether it's C++ or visual blueprints, everything is custom to give you this customized, one of a kind gaming experience. So we could have easily did what he said and put a game out in 2 to 3 months. Like, we just used all of these add-ons and went to the Epic marketplace and just bought these things, and okay, here's the game, play it. But that wouldn't have been an experience. So we actually really sat down and took the time to actually give you guys something dope. But let's make some noise, some horns for him keeping it real. I love that. Make some horns. Let me get some horns. More horns. More horns. More horns. More horns. More horns. All right, back to y'all.
Appreciate that commentary. Cheers, man. Jay Custer, man, talking all the facts, man, about how a lot of games are being developed. But then Cheers coming in, man, really talking about the passion behind Neighborhood Tales, man. So excited about that platform, that gaming coming out soon. But I mean, Jay, do you have any thoughts on play to earn games yourself, or do you, would you play them, or are you? What's your thoughts?
People say play to earn is dead. I think that's just because people have been burnt so many times with outlandish promises of you can earn X hundreds of thousands or whatever, over and over and over again, and being like, okay, well, that clearly doesn't work. And then, Axie really was the nail in the coffin, I think, for play to earn as it used to be perceived. But I do think that there is still a potential to give players some earning potential,
Right.
and also the ability to own their assets. And what you do with your assets, you can make money selling your car, or you can ride your car until it dies. You know, it's an asset. You can decide what to do with it, or you can drive it, get what you feel like you want out of it, and then sell it. And you sell it technically at a loss. You bought it for $15,000, you sold it for 5, but you drove it for 10 years. So I think that's what play to earn gaming is kind of turning into. Play and earn. People say play and own. I like those concepts. To me, P2E and P and E, people like trying to making huge distinctions about the difference between the two. But I think at the end of the day, it's like the point of Web3 gaming is to give gamers some freedom back.
Right.
And what Play to Earn did was it gave gamers something back from their time and their money investment, which has never really been a thing, something tangible. And I think that is going to be something that can persist, regardless of what we want to call it. Play to earn, play and own, play and earn, or who knows what else. Eventually, I think we'll probably just call it gaming, and we'll just accept the fact that if I'm investing all this time into this game and I'm advocating for this game and I'm writing a post about this game and I'm making content about this game and I'm invested in this game, then the game will also sort of give me something back for that investment. And I think that's going to persist. But I don't think Ponzinomics needs to be a huge part of that.
Right.
You know, we can still create a healthy ecosystem that acknowledges and rewards and gives something back to the players who are literally, they're the reason why the game is working, right? Like, what would a game be without its player base, right? So give them something, and something tangible, something that actually matters to them, and the ability to have ownership of their assets and decide if they want to sell it. And so that, I think, will continue. I don't think we're going to see another Axie Infinity phenomena really the same way again, but that's fine. That was the bubble.
I think, yeah, man, that's all real right there, man. I think you ever heard of what is it called? Zilliquat? Zilliquat, you ever heard of that before?
Not ringing a bell. No.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but they're supposed to be launching a Web3 gaming console. Well, what do you think about that?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I don't see any problem with that. The thing about consoles that I was talking about before is because you're basically driving a car that you don't even have the keys to, and it only can go so fast, and it can only drive on one part of the road, and like all that. That's the problem with consoles. But you could totally like create a console that's not chained up that way. Like the Steam Deck is a perfect example of that. The Steam Deck, you can literally download Windows on it. You don't have to even use the Steam OS, but when you do use the Steam OS, that allows you to play any freaking game you want, right? Like any PC game that you can. So, no, I think there's plenty of opportunity for a Web3 console. But I just don't think that traditional consoles can do it properly, are going to be able to do it properly, personally.
Mm.
I mean, thinking about like blockchain technology, do you think there is a blockchain that has the best Web3 game, or who? Yeah, I mean, who has the best Web3 games right now, in your opinion?
I'm a pretty blockchain agnostic person. I think
Okay.
that what's important is ease of access, and like part of ease of access is, okay, so is it going to cost you $200 in gas to make a transaction? Then that's not going to be sustainable, right?
Right.
So, the whole Bored Ape Yacht Club, other side deeds problem, that why did it have to happen on Ethereum? Or why was the contract written so poorly? These are things where it's like, okay, live and learn. This we can't be doing that. I think that blockchains that just generally have a really high transactions per second and a low carbon footprint are going to be the future for gaming, just because like that's the most sustainable way to build a game on a blockchain. Wax is basically carbon neutral. It's a pretty small blockchain, but I think it has more potential than some people think. Polygon is going to be great. I think this year Polygon is going to blow up, and there's quite a few games that are being built on Polygon that are going to be amazing. Solana's fine when it works.
What's not working with Solana?
Oh, well, like, I don't know if you've ever tried to like make a transaction on Solana, and it's like, oh, the network's down because one of the validators, one of like the 12 or 15 validators, has just had something go wrong. Like I've had that, and it's scary too because you're sending money and then all of a sudden it's not showing up, and then they're like, oh, the blockchain's down. You're like, well, hopefully that transaction I made is actually
It's not stuck somewhere.
yeah, right. So, but I mean, no, I mean Solana's great. It has some vulnerabilities when it comes to um, just things actually working all the time. I think that it's a good blockchain though.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Yo, that actually wrapped it up as far as that portion of our show here, Neighborhood Talk, man. We want to transition real quick with you, Jay Cluster, get some cap or fact answers from you. Basically, we're gonna ask you a series of questions, and if you agree with it, you're gonna say fact. Well, and if you disagree with it, you're gonna say cap. So, first cap or fact question for you, man. Hoping that I explained that pretty accurately or correctly to you. But first one is real gamers use keyboards and not controllers. Would you say that's cap or fact?
You better talk about
Okay, so the reason why I'm going to say cap is because even though I'm a keyboard and mouse person primarily, it doesn't mean that if you use a console or I mean a controller, you're not a real gamer. So it's cap just because of that. Is console or keyboard and mouse superior? Yes, but just because you want to be, playing at a handicap, that's fine. You can still be a gamer too.
Okay, copy that. We always ask gamers that question. So the second cap or fact question is: today's youth will play a major part in the mass adoption of Web3.
100% fact. You said youth, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, cool. All right. So next cap or fact question for you. I'm gonna just say Trizzy had to write this one. No, just kidding. Sonic the Hedgehog is a better mascot for Sega than Mario was for Nintendo. Cap or fact? It's actually a fire question, bro.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard.
That's hard, bro.
That is a tough one. I mean, I was a Sega person. I wasn't really a Nintendo person. So, I mean, Sonic all the way. But objectively speaking, which which console is still around?
Ooh, oof.
He said,
Nintendo, baby.
Unfortunately, Mario, I guess, wins, but I still think Sega or Sonic is cooler.
Hey, yeah.
okay. All right, and the last one we got for you, Jay. All games in the future will be on the blockchain. Cap or fact?
I want to say fact, but nah, it's probably not going to happen. I think there'll
Man,
still be games that just like, what's the point, right? Solving every problem with blockchain is just not. It's not what blockchain's for. So if there's a game that doesn't have a marketplace or doesn't, have any need for blockchain technology, then why?
Copy
man.
that. Copy that.
Fire Jay. Man. Well, I mean that concludes our show here, man. Take neighborhood talk, man. Any final words for our listeners? How they can reach you? Um, Jay, got the floor, man.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I want to learn more about neighborhood talks or neighborhood tales, so I hope to keep hearing more things about you guys, and definitely want to see where you guys go and where you guys develop. Keep on top of any mints that you guys have, so make sure you're at mentioning me and stuff as you're dropping stuff. As far as where people can reach me, follow me on Twitter, obviously. I stream on Twitch every day, 6 days a week. I don't stream on Mondays. We stream blockchain games exclusively. I have a YouTube channel that I'm trying to grow. You can find my YouTube channel in my Twitter about section, and there's TikTok too. Trying to be all over the place. You can join my Discord, talk games at any time, and that's about it.
And man,
Appreciate you, Jay.
for sure, man. Likewise, I appreciate you, Jay Cluster, man, coming on this episode number 37 of Neighborhood Talk, talking everything Web3, Web2, Web3 integration, the future of Web3 gaming. Jay Cluster, I gotta shout you out, man. I don't feel like I know a gamer that's more serious than you, man. So shout out to you, man, and shout out to everything you're bringing to this space, man. But y'all know here at Neighborhood Talk, man, we are right back at it. Stay in touch with us, man. One way to do that is hop over to our Twitter page, NH Tales. Follow us. We're back at it Tuesday. And, we drop all of our latest and exclusive details there. With that being said, you want to also, while you're there on our Twitter page, click the link in our bio. Join our Discord. I mean, we do the lit stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, tonight, for example, man, let me just show you the cool shit, we do, man. We're about to head over to movie night, watch Menace in Society. Just neighborhood stuff, man, neighborhood shit. And, it's just, we're all about the neighborhood. And not only do you want to
It's
just,
just a beautiful day in the neighborhood, man.
Trizzy, though, you got to tell them, like, $100,000 in cash prizes, man. The only way you can find out how to be, eligible for that is to be in our Discord. You want to make sure you click that link in our bio while you're following us on Twitter. And man, Trizzy, it's been a pleasure, man. Appreciate all you do for this space. Jay Cluster, again, thank you, man, for joining. I'm your boy JD Jones. Y'all can find me everywhere at official JD Jones. And that's it for me, y'all.
Yes. Once again, we do appreciate everyone that pulled up to the neighborhood block to enjoy these jewels from the boy Jay Cluster, man. Make sure you guys follow Jay Cluster. Follow Neighborhood Tales, NH Tales on Twitter. We on all other social sites, Neighborhood Tales. Make sure you follow me, Trizzy the God. Follow YO Chiz. Follow Mocca on the block. And we do appreciate you guys, man. Until next time, you already know what it is.
Peace.
It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood. Would you be